Hey guys, so in this video we're going to create and add some effects when we hit something with our magic projectiles. And first effect will be something like magic splash or magic explosion, and the second effect we will apply a little outline on the enemy character, which will be in the color of the damage type on the projectile. So if it's the cold damage projectile, we will apply a little blue outline. If it's fire damage projectile, it will be a little orange outline, and so on. So first thing that we need to do is we need to actually add the line trace for where we're firing the magic projectiles, because if we don't, we will be missing quite a lot of enemies when we like close, because the problem with the stuff is it is quite wide, the range where it's flying from. So if the enemy is staying close, you would be like missing him like this, because it goes around him and each attack is a little bit different. Okay, so we need to add the line trace. For that, we do have it set up already in the fire arrow function. So on the player, find that. And here we basically want to do pretty much the same thing that we're doing here with the line trace. So copy this part, start and end with the follow camera, this make array, just hold shift and select everything. And then from here you can select pretty much everything apart from this last shoot arrow and those variables. And copy it. Then we go to spawn magic projectile function. And here, let's just copy it here in the end, and then we'll sort it out. This one, from fire projectile, we will disconnect the velocity. Just move it down. And then we want to do line trace by channel. Start and end is exactly the same. Make array here that we basically adding self to actors to ignore, so we don't hit the player. And then down here, let's move this back, fire projectile, is we checking if the arrow is valid. We should probably do it with the magic projectile as well, because what can happen with the collision and all the stuff, that magic projectile gets destroyed and then it will give you error and stuff. So it's better if we always check. So from the return value here, we're going to check is valid. Select the second one, add it here, and only if it's valid we're going to fire projectile. So for velocity, in arrow we're calculating it inside the arrow from this unit vector, we're basically multiplying it. But here what we're going to do is we're going to get this function that is preventing player firing behind him. It basically clamps it between 30 degrees to the left and right of where the player is facing. So we want to keep this, because this is what we were working on in the last video. So we can control X, add it here. And then instead of the control rotation of the camera, we will replace it with this unit direction. But this is not the rotation, so we need to do make rotation from X. Then connect it here. We can delete this control rotation, and then we also need to connect from this actor location. That needs to be the magic projectile location, so we can drag from return value to here. If you want to promote it to variable, you can, and then add it here, but I don't think it's necessary. Or we can promote it to local one, since this is a function. Yeah, let's do that. Promote to local variable, and this will be magic projectile ref for reference. And that way we can add it here, get it to this actor location, and then add it to this fire projectile and disconnect this one. And also here if it's valid. Or we can just convert this one to validated get, but it's pretty much the same thing. So now we're checking the actor location, getting the direction. Here basically what we're doing in the arrow is if the player is too close to the enemy, it won't fire at the enemy, but it will fire at the trace end. This is just little precaution, because otherwise it might fire unexpectedly sideways and stuff, so we want to keep that. But then here in the end I'm going to change this velocity to only like 5,000, because if it's 8,000 it's way too fast, first of all, and second of all the collision tracing might give us some trouble. It will fly through the objects, so we're going to change it to 5,000 only, which is still quite fast. Now we can move it a little bit down. So this will be our new calculation. And if you want to see it, we can do for duration here. And then I'm just going to move it here. Damage causer and velocity is as it was. Okay, now compile and save. Now if I pick up the stuff, equip it, and fire at this enemy, for example, you can see projectile is flying from the staff where it's supposed to, from the staff end, to this guy. But since the guy or the magic projectile doesn't have a collision, it's flying through him and then it's going up. We also got, we're adding 200 to the up vector in here in the magic projectile. We don't need to do that really. We can just leave it as it is now, since we're doing the line trace. So now one more check. So going to this one. Yeah, and it's basically where the trace hits, that's where the projectile is flying towards. But as you can see, before the projectiles were flying around this character like that. Now it's actually, if you hit him, it's going towards him. Now what we need to do is set up the collision, so it actually hits something and gets destroyed. So for the collision, what I want to do is in this magic projectile, we're not going to use the static mesh because it's very small. And when you got very small objects, it's very hard to calculate collision, even if you enable CCD, which is basically continuous collision detection. Even then your projectiles can fly through things. So we're going to make a spherical box collision that will be a little bit bigger, and we can set a custom size to it as we want. And then that way, even if the projectile flies like next to this character, we can still hit him, which I think is a little bit better. So in the magic projectile, let's add sphere collision. Add it to the static mesh as a child, and then set it to, I think 30. 30 should be fine. 32 is way too big. 30 is okay. Maybe even that's too big. Let me see what I've done in the other one. Yeah, 30. So let's stick with 30. On the static mesh, I think we still have collision turned off. We don't want to have any collision here, but on this sphere, we're going to set up projectile collision. So in the presets, we're going to do custom. We need to make sure it has generate overlap events, because this will be just calculating from the overlap. And then for the responses, we need to set it up same as we have arrow basically. So these ones we will leave. We don't have to touch it. Object type we actually need to change to projectile. So this will be, the enemies will know how to calculate the collision when it touches them. And for the rest of them, it needs to be overlap, and these last two, we don't actually need to change anything. This is all correct. Camera is overlapping, it's all good. Compile and save. And now in event graph, we want to select this sphere, scroll down, and you got on component begin overlap. And here what we want to do is let's just promote this damage causer to variable. So promote to variable, or we can maybe use it directly. Let's promote it to variable. This one will be damage causer. And here we need to check if that damage causer is not equal other actor. So the other actor that we're hitting, we can switch these things around. So other actor that we are hitting, if it's not equal the one that actually caused the damage, because we don't want to overlap ourselves or hit ourselves, then we can continue. So branch B and click and continue. And then we want to basically spawn the Niagara system and then destroy the object. So for now we can just do destroy actor, and that will be self. And we can print string that we hit something. I'll do other actor just to test it if it's working. So now pick up stuff, and let's try to hit, I think this is just, I don't know what this is just animation or something. So you can see I'm not even hitting it. I'm hitting box behind it. If I aim at this enemy, it's enemy BP 14, enemy BP 16, 16, 16, it's hitting these ones in front of it because the box collision is bigger, so it doesn't reach the one in the back. But this one I'm not hitting because it doesn't have a collision settings. This is just, I think, idle or something, animation. So that is hitting correctly. And it was destroying the actor. So now what we want to do, we want to add that effect. And for the effect, so for the first effect that we want to create is like magic explosion. Let's go to blueprints and effects. Oh, actually we can directly find it because there is one already made that I want to use and I just want to edit. And it is called, if you select all, it's called p_explosion. And it's this one here. So if you don't have this one, this is part of the starter content. So you can see the path is game/starter content start particles. So if you don't have this one, you need to add the starter content. So you go to content, add, and here you would add, what is it in add feature or content pack, and here in the content you would select starter content. It's free, obviously it's free for everyone, so you can just add it to the project. And here we got this p_explosion, which seems like it's for the fire, but if we duplicate it and we're just going to call it just magic explosion. This is not the actual Niagara system, this is the old cascade particle system. But to be honest, I was not able to recreate anything looking that nice as this one, as when we edited, so that's why I'm using this one here. So it will be magic explosion or magic projectile explosion, magic explosion. And we're going to transfer it, now I lost where it was, magic explosion, and we're going to add it to our effects, which is in third person and effects. Move here, and now let's edit it. So first one, this one will be _base. And since we're doing everything cold based at the moment, I'm going to Control and deduplicate, and this one will be magic explosion cold. If you open it up, here the color editing is a little bit weird because you got like color over life, or you got everywhere you got these colors, but that's mostly for the graph. If you change this, it doesn't actually change the color. Nothing pretty much happens even if you press OK. So this is not how you edit the color. You got this color over life, you got distribution, you need to open it. Here we need to leave it at distribution vector constant curve. Open this constant curve, you got 2 points. So first is on value 0, that's the color that it starts with, and here on index 1 we got value 1, so that's where it goes. It's like a curve basically, going from one point to the other. So what we want to do here is we want to change the color to light blue because it's cold, and the second value we're going to change for light blue but slightly bit darker maybe. And these two, we don't have to touch alpha over life, which has basically the same thing. It has 2 curves, 3 points actually. This one has 3 different ones, but we don't need to touch it because alpha is only for opacity. But as you can see, we changed it for blue one, but this is still green. And the reason for that is because the actual material that it is using, it's green, it's red, so it's mixing those colors together. But what we can do is we can go to required, and here on top we got material, search for it, and it's using the explosion. I'm going to duplicate this. I don't need to rename it or anything, just open it up. And as you can see here, it's going from the RGB. Is that the correct one? Yeah. But it's basically red. But what we can do here, we can change this one to blue. And that way it won't get the red color or green color or anything. It will only be blue colors. And now when we select it here and then go back to the magic explosion, I'll close this classic explosion. And here you just click on the icon with that selected, it will change that for that new material that we duplicated, and now you can see it's blue explosion as we want it, which kind of looks like cold. There is a couple of the other options that you can try, but this is the only one that kind of looks like it could be done without fire, like for cold. It will actually look good. Now we're going to turn off the sparks. We don't want sparks, we don't want the firelight, and we don't want the smoke. Because obviously if it's a cold image we don't want any of those. We will just have this shockwave, which is perfect. And we will have the actual fireball, which is now changed to blue color. Now for the shockwave, we also need to change the color, so go to color over life again, and you got these 2 points. Oh, is it 3 points? No, 2 points and tangent. So for the first color, we're going to again go to like light blue. This one's got this value changed to 20 as well, so it's a little bit shiny. And then on the second one, we're going to change it again, maybe for darker or even towards like dark blue. It's almost the same color, but like that. And now I think it's starting to look really good. Tangent, I'm not actually sure what tangent in this case for this material does, but I'm going to change it to white so it doesn't affect anything that much. And that way the tangent will be white. We will save it, and now we got the first effect done. So if we go to magic projectile now, and when we hit something, this is not the system because it's not Niagara, so we need to do spawn emitter at location. So emitter will be magic explosion, cold. Actually, that will be later on the select, but for now we're selecting only the based on the cold stuff, so I'm doing everything cold. And location, we need to get actor location, so location of this magic projectile when it hits, and that will be the location. For scale, you don't want to have it at 1 because it's quite big, so we want to have it at 0.5 or even less. So I'll do 0.5, and then it will auto destroy when it plays. Compile and save. And now let's test it out. I'll pick up the stuff. And let's hit one of these guys. There we go. And as you can see, we got nice explosion going to them. And I think it looks really good. Can definitely pass as a cold. As a frost. Definitely that shockwave is the best one that you can find because, yeah, as I said, I tried to make it myself. It didn't look very good or nowhere near as good as this one. So this one is an explosion. Now the characters are not reacting or anything. We will have to do that in the next video where we apply damage, because here I want to do one more effect and it's quite complex as well. So first I'm going to turn off this line trace by channel, do none. And now for the second effect, what we want to do is we need to create new material. So let's go to third person, blueprints, materials, where are you? Or is it in third person, materials? And come on, materials, we're going to right click, create new material, and this one we can call something like outline underscore material. So outline material, open it up, and on this material we want to change this one to translucent, and default lid we will leave, but two-sided, make sure it's checked as well. And then here we're going to hold 3 on the keyboard and click, or get this constant, what is it, material expression, constant 3 vector, and connect it to base color. And since this one will be base, we can also name it outline underscore base underscore material. I know some of you doing probably the what is it called, the M and all those letters on the beginning, so obviously do it as you wish. It's probably a better way anyway to have it on the beginning. I'm just used to doing it on the end. So mine ends with the material, and this one here we will change to white color. We will right click, convert to parameter, and this one will be color, so we can change it. And then we need to do something called two-sided sign, and from here we will drag out and do 1 minus, and that one we could connect directly to opacity, but we also want to control the opacity later because we want to fade out this material. So for that we will do hold S on the keyboard and click for parameter, and this one will be fade amount. Fade amount. Make sure you spell this correctly because we will be using this name later. And then we're going to, from here, multiply and multiply this by fade amount and connect it to opacity We will leave it at 1 as a default. And then last thing we need to do is world position, where we want to position it. For that, we're going to do vertex normal ws. We're going to multiply this, and this one we will do one more parameter, so you can copy maybe this one, or just again hold S and click, and this one will be thickness, so how thick this effect will be. And again I will leave it at 1, and that will go to world position offset. If you wanted, we could also connect this main color to emissive color and then multiply it so it's shiny and stuff, but then if you have a motion blur in your project, it doesn't look very good when you move. It's kind of like flickering. You will maybe see it. So for now, apply and save. This is the base one. We're going to right click, create material instance, and this one will be not base, this one will be outline called underscore mi. And on this one, open it up. We're going to do fade amount and thickness. We don't need to change, just change the color to blue. Light blue, something like this. Okay, then what we need to do is apply that material, and we need to apply it to all of the meshes, because if we have a chest or something equipped, it will cover it, because it will be only on the skeletal mesh of the character. So we also need to apply it to chest, legs, feet and hands. For that, we already set up something in the conditions component, where we basically have on each of these that we need to apply stuff to, we do have a tag, which is body. So you got component tag on this one, body, 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 and body. Not sure if we did it on face, probably not. I don't remember why exactly, but maybe we will have to add it to the face as well. For now, let's just create this function in combat component. So edit combat component. And this one will be an event, not a function. So let's go to event graph, and down here I'm going to do custom event, and it will be apply magic overlay or something, doesn't matter what it is called. And in this thing, what we need to do is, give me a second so I can check I don't mess it up. So apply magic overlay. Right, so we need to pass on the damage type as an input, so we can know what type of overlay we want to add. And this one will be stats enumerator, because it's still a stat. And then here we want to do for each loop. Actually, we need to probably get what we're looping through. So we will get owner of this component. Then we will get components by tag. So all the components with tag, as I said, we're looking for tag body. And this needs to be skeletal mesh component. And then we will do for each loop. And we want to apply overlay material, which is basically, you can check it as well. If you go to player and mesh, and here search for overlay, you do have a material that you can apply as an overlay. So if I add this called outline and play the game, this is what the outline I will have. So like this around the character. As you can see, a little bit shiny, and we will apply it only for about 1 second or 2 seconds on the enemy when we hit them with a like appropriate magic projectile, and then we will fade it out. So to apply it to all of them, we also want to fade it out, and that way we have to create a dynamic material instance. So this is a little bit advanced as well. I know it's a bit pain in the ass to set up, but if you don't want to do this part, you don't really have to. This is just an extra effect that I think it looks really nice. So we're going to create dynamic material instance, and for material instance we're going to do here source material, we need to do select, and that will be based on this damage type. And for now we only have a cold damage, so find the cold damage and apply the outline cold I'll do a video where we add different damage types for all of this. So for now, this is cold damage, outline, and parent needs to be, we can maybe parent it to this component. I probably don't have to, it can be parented here. Okay, don't worry about it. Now we're going to promote this to variable, and this one will be overlay magic overlay array, because we need to keep the references of all of them that we create for each body type, so it will be array. Now we have to change the variable type, so give it a second until it changes. And once that's done, disconnect it, and we're going to disconnect this one as well, delete it, get it, and add to it this one here. So it will create an array of all of the materials for each body part. And then we need to basically drag out from here and set overlay material. That's a target, so this will go here on the bottom, and overlay material will be this one that we have just created. The reason why we're creating dynamic material overlay is so we can change the fade amount. So now that should apply all of them. Let's go to magic projectile, and here, before we destroy actor, we're going to do branch and check if this other actor that we have hit has tag enemy. Then we're going to double click here so we can redirect it and get component by class, because we stored it in combat components. Sorry, not components, just single component. Get component by class, combat component, combat component, and call that function, which is apply magic overlay. And for the damage type, for now we only got cold. I'm not going to set it up just yet, so do cold damage manually. Careful if you have this percentage still. So cold damage. And that should apply it. Let's see. Some issue in a combat component. What have I forgot? Okay, this probably needs to have a target, so add it here. Compile and save. Now, I obviously have it on the player. I need to turn it off. But if I hit these enemies, okay, the material, I messed up something in the material. Sorry about that. So I had to actually check, and it was this note that I did the wrong one, because this is the primitive component target. What we need to do is, from this written value here, we're going to do create dynamic material instance. So this was a wrong note, and then delete it and just connect this one instead. There is nothing that we need to set, only this parent, and then written value goes to this add, but also to overlay material. And now we'll just turn off the overlay on the player, so it's not confusing, and also on the enemy. Clear, compile and save. And now, when I hit them, there we go, it applies little outline, like a blue one. And then you can just adjust, if you like, the different thickness as well, you can change it. The problem, as I said, is with motion blur, if you're moving too much and stuff, it doesn't look very good, because it's like flashing and shining. But if you turn off, in the project settings, you search for motion blur, you can turn it off, but then other movement might look a little bit weird. So that's very up to you about the preference, but we're basically going to fade it out quite quickly, so it won't be so noticeable. So to fade it out, what we need to do is go to combat component, and here we're going to create a new function that will be something like fade out magic material, magic overlay, fade out magic overlay, and here we want to create a new variable that will be fade amount, and we will make it float and single variable. And this function will run on loop, so we're going to subtract from the fade amount, so do minus subtract 0.1 and then set it to fade amount, so that will be the first thing. So now the fade amount will be 0.9, and then we need to set it to those materials, so we're going to do for each loop. Sorry, again we need to get the, let's get this thing magic overlay array, so we got something to loop, and then do for each loop. So this will be looping inside the looping function. That's why we won't be doing it like 100 times per second. We will slow it down a little bit so it has time to catch up. But we want to, from this array element, we want to set scalar parameter value. And the parameter name is in this outline base. We have this parameter name, which is fade amount. So copy it so you don't make a mistake. Go to combat component and add it. And the value will be this fade amount. So it will be subtracting from this fade amount. And then on completed, we're going to check branch. And if the fade amount is less or equals 0, then we need to stop this function. So we will set fade amount to 0 and clear timer by function name. Is it? Yeah. Clear timer by function name, and this is this function. So we'll reset the fade amount and clear and invalidate this time so it stops running. Compile and save. And then one more thing we need to do is inside event graph. Before we start, we also want to, just always better if we reset the fade amount, and before that we're going to one more time clear and invalidate timer by handle. Not this one, sorry. Clear timer by function name. And it's this one, fade out magic overlay. Because if we reapply it, we don't want to continue with the fade amount. We want to always reset it, so we'll reset it to 1. Okay, and as I said, this might be a little bit complex function as well because it's dynamic materials instances and multiple of them and stuff, but I think it looks really good, so that's why I added it to tutorial. So wait, hold on, I didn't actually activate it anywhere, did I? No, I didn't. So on completed here, as soon as we add that material, we need to set timer by function name, and this will be this one, fade out magic overlay, and it will be looping only 0.1 seconds, so 10 times per second, and looping. So it will take 1 second basically to actually fully fade out. So it will start fading out straight away when it's created and then fade out. Okay, so now if I hit this guy here, there we go, and you can see it's fading out. So it's only there for like a second, and I got all this. So that's both of our magic effects done. And this is basically when you're rotating, as I said, we still got it. So the character actually needs to rotate where he's facing, otherwise he won't be firing the magic projectiles behind him. Then let's, if these guys run at me, you know, I can still hit them, except for they all got stun and stuff, so yeah. So that's pretty much it. So I hope you liked it, because I'm really excited about this effect. I think it looks really good. And then in the next video we can, I'm not sure if I'm going to add damage or if you're going to create the rest of them quickly, like the fire and lightning. For the lightning I get a little bit different effect as well, so probably do that first. Cool, so I'll see you in the next one. Bye.